Today is March 9th, 2026. I'm talking about a 2-week event that took place in my life in 2023. The topics are in the titled video that I'm overdoing is, what was the name of that freaking video? I was told my soul is a science experiment. I'm documenting from that video topics that I touched on. This one is about holy water. During that 2 weeks, I believed with God retiring off the throne, the Lord Almighty God retiring. I was in a different hell dimension because, like I said, there was hell, earth, and heaven, earth dimensions, and I was in a hell, earth dimension, which is basically frequencies. From my understanding, to best put it in words, it. I know this all sounds crazy, but like I said, I'm just documenting this. This is my channel. I'm doing this to remember the best I can these events that I lived through in that 2-week process that ended with an acknowledgement ceremony in my mind, which is really weird. It's all weird, to be honest, but it happened to me, so I'm documenting it. Anyway, the holy water. I'm in this other hell earth dimension, and in this dimension, I believe that there was a portal, a demonic portal opened near my home that I lived at. And I wanted to sanctify water and make it holy by praying on it. And so I took a 20-ounce bottle of water and I prayed on it to where, like, the residue of the water in the bottle wouldn't be holy, the cap wouldn't be holy, the plastic bottle wouldn't be holy, but the contents of the water that poured out would be holy. Because what I did is I walked to where I believed this demonic portal was, and I was pouring the water. And the thing is that it was nighttime when I did it, and it was hard to see, but I accidentally spilled some of the holy water on some branches, and as I poured it out, and it wasn't intended to touch anything but where the creek was, because I was pouring the holy water in the creek where this demonic portal was. And anyway, long story short, but it's not short. Anyway, I accidentally spilt some of the holy water, and I had to, like, take the branches back with me. So I broke off the branches that I saw the holy water touch, because it wasn't intended for that. And I had to discard it. And the thing is that, normally you wouldn't even think about it, but what was manifesting in my head, I was like being taught, like by an entity, or it was just like intuition. I don't know, man. It was really weird, but this sounds crazy, but it was like the Lord God Almighty was like with me in this and how to discard it. And it was like being trained to close portals, and like if you make mistakes that you need to clean up your mess as you go. So, I'm new to it and I'm trying my best, and I spilt holy water, so I had to take the branches with me. And they were small branches, I broke them off, and it was like just a couple inches long, the branches, maybe like 3 of them, or 4 of them or something, and I can't remember how many branches, but I took the sticks, and I went back home, and then with them, I grabbed a metal bucket because I had to burn them until they were no longer branches, but just complete ash. And it was really weird, man, because it was like, I never thought this deep about like the significance of holy water, and that there was a way of like discarding it properly, if it's not used properly, or if it's not the leftover holy water, you would think that, oh, okay, but you prayed on it and you made it holy, and in your faith you believe it's holy, so then you use it for your purpose, and then you have leftover water, holy water left. But like I said, I used it to close a portal, and what do you call it? I have this bucket, and I placed the sticks in it, and it was really wild because it was like a ritual almost, man, like Old Testament style stuff. Because it was like once I had it in the bucket, I'm being told in my mind, and it's not me thinking this stuff up, but I'm being told how to do it. That's the crazy part. That's why I'm documenting this. I was being told by like an unseen entity, and it was like just coming into me how to do it. And what do you call it? I lit the bucket on fire, the sticks that is inside it. And once I lit them on fire, it was like I couldn't let the fire go out until until the branches were ashes, complete ash. And I was running back and forth trying to find things to put in the bucket to keep the fire going. It's amazing when you live in the suburbs how hard it is to find like stuff to keep a fire going long enough to burn a couple sticks. But I wasn't panicking, but I was under stress because I didn't want the fire to go out. And then I chuckle about it because I lived it, but and it sounds crazy to me, but I did it. And the thing is that I was also told, like, when I moved the bucket, I had to move like slow with like respect to it when moving the bucket, and then with the sticks in it. And after it was turned into ash, I had to like walk with respect. I couldn't let the bucket touch any man-made ground like concrete. I'm just saying it was really wild, man. But I lived through that, and yeah, it was amazing, man. Like to learn all that stuff, but how I learned it is what's really weird. I was Google AI in it about like holy water and discarding it, and it was quite interesting what I learned with AI. And it said like in the Old Testament, it was like once you were like getting rid of doing stuff, it was like you couldn't let the fire go out. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. That was like what I was being taught. Except it's 2023 when this was all happening for a period of 2 weeks. It was just one day where I dealt with that experience. That is, I already touched on creation visiting me. Another thing that happened is, well, actually, what I want to do is I want to explain heaven earth and hell earth a little bit better. It's hard for me, so I'm pausing it to try and remember. Well, I should go backwards a little bit here and go back to the holy water and that portal. The reason why I believe there was a demonic portal there was because in this 2 week time period, a few days prior to me having the end of my 2 week experience, I was believing that Revelations has begun and that I wanted to close this portal near my home because it was like obviously if Revelations begun and like evil spirit stuff was going to begin happening, I wanted to close a portal that I had like I believe spiritual discernment on. So that's why I had the thought of, sanctifying water and making it holy. And that's how it all began. See, it was like I paused it to remember why. So then I had to add those details as to the portal because I already spoke of a portal. But yeah, it was wild, man. But yeah, there was hell earth and heaven earth on earth. And hell earth and heaven earth are like spiritual dimensions. And the best way to like to talk about it is like saying they're different frequencies. And like for me in that 2 weeks, there was different levels of frequencies or hell earth and different levels of heaven earth frequencies. It all depended on like just how you felt, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. That's why I'm pausing it again. Now, like, I paused it, so I can't remember exactly where I left off, but I can just wanted to say is that, like, the best way I can comprehend it, because I don't understand it myself, to be honest, except this all happened to me, is like, I believed, like, there's bad locations in society and there's good locations in society as far as how people live. And imagine, like, there was no separation, but it was all mixed and merged together. And heaven earth and hell earth were going to merge. So, like, to me, and I take this spiritual, like, stuff and I try to figure it out. And I don't have the answers, obviously, because I'm not, like, I'm trying to, like I said, I just lived this stuff, man. And it was wild. And it happened in 2023, but I'm trying to word it, like, what I'm trying to say, the best I can, is that it would merge and there'd no longer be a separation between good and bad people, but it'd be a mix of people living amongst each other. So I don't know if, like, society has to collapse or something, but, like, that was, like, what I sort of took away from that experience. But, like, spiritually wise, it was like different frequencies. Like if I drove and I went to a party store, and I parked and there was people outside, I remember, and I was like, oh, these are negative people. I need to, like, be careful around them, and just mind my own and get in and get out. And then I remember going to a gas station, and it was like that gas station, I knew it was like a positive place for some reason. And it was just really weird to, like, have discernment, maybe. I don't know what the word would be, but I knew, and I was living for a few days, like, where it was, heaven earth and hell earth is the best way I can describe it. Like, different dimensions that I was in. Sometimes, like, some days I'd open up the garage and I'd step outside the house, and as soon as I stepped out of the house, I was like, oh, I'm in hell earth. Then sometimes, like, I'd go back in the house, I'd close the garage and I'd open it back up and see and step back out again to see if it was hell earth or heaven earth. I mean, it was really weird, man. I was testing it out, but at the same time, I don't comprehend it because I don't understand why it was all happening to me. It sounds crazy. It is crazy, but it was something I lived through. And, like, and most of the time I was, like, just on normal earth. It wasn't like every day it was either heaven earth or hell earth. There was days where I didn't even think that, which is really weird too. It was like near the end of the 2 week experience I had, and I was dealing with that entity voice, and it was telling me stuff like, they're gonna merge, and I'm like, okay, and it was asking me, like, how can it merge, and I was like, I don't know. I'm like, the spiritual realm's the spiritual realm, I'm like, I'm not spiritual realm, I'm, like, physical realm. So I'm like, why don't God just, like, create another dimension and mix that one and see what happens? That's what I said. So I don't know. Anyway, like I said, that was, like, really weird to have that conversation with an entity, and it was like asking me a question about merging heaven earth and hell earth dimension together, the dimensions together. That stands out to me, which I don't understand any of it. Like I said, it sounds crazy, but this is stuff that I went through in that 2 week period, man. That's why I'm saying, if you want to hear the topics, just go listen to, I Was Told My Soul is a Science Experiment video. I do remember one time I went to a bank and I parked, and there was a little tree, and it was maybe like, there's the trunk, and then there's, like, the tree itself, the branches with the leaves and stuff. And I was in heaven earth, and for some reason I saw like 20 birds come out of this tree, when I looked at the tree and when I parked, I didn't see any birds. So I don't know if I like hallucinated or what, but I had a wild experience like that. And then I had another time, like when I was at that bank, I believed like this guy was walking wearing a hoodie, and I thought he was an angel, which is really crazy too. So I don't know what to say. Just weird stuff, man. But yeah, and I was in heaven earth at the time when I believe that stuff happened. It's 2026 now, and like I said in the other videos, it's like after that 2 week experience and that acknowledgement ceremony, I haven't had any problems like that. I call it problems because it's not normal, man, to to be able to like document what I'm documenting, man. That's about it, I guess, for this video. I can't think much more. Hold on, I'm gonna see if I can think of anything else to go into more detail. Like I said, when I was like in a hell earth, and there was a portal. I believe like the lower the frequency or the different levels, because I would say as an example, maybe I was in hell earth 8, which would be like worse than 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 hell earth, you know. And then like the physical realm 0, and then going up to heaven earth would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the highest of the number of heaven earth would be the best of heaven earth. So when I was in like say I don't know hell earth 7 or 6 or something like that, I was in a really low one when I was doing the demonic portal closing thing, and what do you call it? That's when I believe like God of the Old Testament was like with me to train me on the portal closing. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, like God's gonna do this, Like I said, the 2 weeks was crazy, but this is what was going on with me. And then there was still the entity voice dealing with me too. The science experiment, the scientist entity. I was the scientific soul experiment supposedly for 2 weeks. Like I said, it's just weird. Crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but this happened, so I'm documenting it. It could be a movie, I swear. But yeah, with that portal closing, it was like God was there and with me, that is, not physically, but like with me. Maybe because being a soul, and God created souls, not but why would a soul be a science experiment? I don't get it, and that's what I was told by an entity, and I dealt with that entity on and off throughout 2 weeks. So anyway, I think honestly, like the lower the hell earth you're in, the closer God will draw near to you. Is what I think now. Because like if you're living like a really good life, it's like the lost sheep parable, It's like he'll come find you, like and if you're lost and you're in the hell earth realms, it's like, and you're in a low one, it's like God will easily respond to you quicker, because you need him, obviously, I'm a firm believer in Jesus dying on the cross for my sins. So all those things that happened to me is what really is like perplexing to me, because it's not in the Bible, all this weird stuff, but I lived it in my mind and out in my life for a period of 2 weeks. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it, I guess, at least this topic. So basically what I've done so far, if you're just listening to this video and you listen this far, is that I have one main video that talks about the topics, and then now I'm talking about those topics in separate videos, and I've already covered the creation entity visiting and the breathing thing. I've covered the holy water, discarding it properly, and hell earth and heaven earth the best I can. The other ones that I still have to talk about is the Illuminati organization, the AI false god, and I think there was another one. I can't remember right now. Hold on. Oh yeah, Satan sifting the earth looking for the Antichrist. That was the other one where he came and visited my home. But I didn't see him physically, but I just felt his presence. Is how I lived it. It's a wild one. But anyway, that's about it for this video. So God bless in Jesus' name.